Welcome back to part 3 of the weapon modeling tutorial for Blender. Now we're actually going to start modeling. But before we will do that, I'll tell you something about the different modes you have in Blender. We're currently in the object mode, selected down here, which means we can select the different objects in our scene using the right mouse button. We currently have this cube, a light and a camera, because we could render the scene if we wanted to. We just want to use it for modeling, so we'll select our cube and change the mode to edit mode. You can either select edit mode from this menu down here, or you can press Tab to switch to edit mode directly. Tab switches to weight paint, we don't want that. So pressing Tab switches you to edit mode. Either press that or select edit mode down here. And now we can edit the mesh. We are currently in the vertex selection mode. You can change what you select by pressing Tab while in edit mode, and then you can select whether you'd like to select vertices, edges or faces. Vertices are the corner points of your model. Edges, well, are the edges, and faces, the different faces, obviously. And right now we don't want this cube, so we're going to select all of it. You can either select or deselect all using the menu you can open with the space bar. This menu down here is opened by pressing the space bar, and everything you can do can be found in here. Or you can use the shortcut and press A, which first deselects everything if anything is selected, and when pressed again selects everything. Now the whole mesh is selected, every face, and we can press X to delete, and we want to delete all. Now there's nothing left. We'll go back to the top view, using the 7 button on the numpad. Now we change to the vertex mode, again pressing Tab, or down here selecting the vertex select mode. And now we can start adding vertices by holding the Control key and clicking with the left mouse button. Now it's important to keep in mind that Jedi Academy cannot handle complex models very well, so we have to be careful with how many points we add. So you'll want to try to approximate the shape without using too many dots, vertices. Of course, if there's a curve, you will need more. But again, keep in mind and think about how important it is to have this curve. You can also, once you have the first vertex, press E to extrude it and create a line. So right now I'm just tracing the whole model with vertices. I don't need much detail here, so I'm just using one long line. Now, since this sword is symmetric, I don't need to do the lower half. I can just add a modifier. This little wrench icon up here are the object modifiers. You can scroll through this by holding the middle mouse button and then click on the modifier tab. Add modifier. We want a mirror. Now the axis along which it's supposed to be mirrored is not the x-axis. down here in the bottom left we have a little axis display. The x-axis is from left to right. If we mirror it along that, well, we can actually change the display mode to wireframe by pressing Z or selecting wireframe down here, which causes us to see all the lines, and now we can see the mirrored lines down here. The difference between wireframe and the default solid mode is once you have faces, you can select an edge and extrude it to get a face. This face is usually solid and you can't view through it unless you're in wireframe mode. Then it's transparent and you can see what's behind it. And also all the edges that don't make up faces are visible. So that's why I used it. But right now we don't want any faces yet, so I just undo that by pressing Ctrl Z. And like I said, x-axis is not what we need. We want first the y-axis, this one, and we also want the z-axis, so bottom and top are supposed to be mirrored. Of course, while it's flat, it doesn't make a difference. Go back to the vertex selection if you aren't still there, and now move extrude this. It doesn't really matter if it's not perfect, we'll move it later manually, or actually we can do that now. We can, in the options on the right, which again you can hide and display by pressing N, set the exact location, so the Y position is supposed to be 0. We can also set this here, well, it's already correct there, and for this one 0. And now when we press E to extrude it, we can press X to tell it to be constrained to the x-axis. So I'm going to move this here, again constrain it, move it about here. I'm already thinking in 3 dimensions and thinking about how it's higher at this position. We can actually go ahead, rotate the camera and move it up here. And these 2 points as well, but not quite as high. And then back high here. Again pressing X to constrain it. And then there's a curve to the top here. So first I'm creating them and now I'm moving them up to get the curve. Now I'm selecting the one back here and doing this line out there again by pressing E to extrude it. And creating not too many, just a couple of vertices. And this looks like it goes down here. Now I want to connect these 2 vertices. I can do that by selecting both of them and pressing F. I'm not quite sure what that's called. Make edge face, here it is. But I find it easier to just remember F. You can also see that here on the left side what it's called. Again, I'm moving the screen by holding Shift and pressing the mouse wheel. And this is supposed to be a little lower. And I think I'll move this a little bit higher. Okay. Again, extruding this along the x-axis. Pressing 1 to change the view. Moving it so it's a nice curve. And again, one long handle. I think I want another vertex in between these two. I can do that using the subdivide modifier. I select both vertices, or alternatively switch to edge and select the edge. And then press W and select subdivide. That adds another vertex in between them. I can also increase the number of cuts to get more, but one is enough in my case. And now I can have a smoother curve. Now I want to connect these two, I think. Now I'll add another vertex in the middle, like this. And that's actually pretty high. I think I'll just lower this whole section a bit. You can select multiple vertices by holding the shift button and clicking. And now there's just this end piece. I'm not quite sure what it looks like, but it apparently does have a curve here, so I'll add some more vertices here. Set this exactly to Y0, connect these two, and move around to the side, or actually I'll set the view to the side view and make this look round. Doing the same here, moving this up, making it look round. And here too, moving it up and actually connecting the two by selecting them both, again holding shift and right mouse button and pressing F to connect them. Go to the side view, make it round. Now we can already create our first faces here. We can go to the edge selection for this, select the two edges we'd like to connect, and again we can simply press F and there's a connection. We can turn off the wireframe display now, so we can see the new face. We can press Z or set this to solid. Again, select two edges we'd like to connect and press F. I'm not quite happy with how this looks, so I'm going to move this vertex around a little. You can press G for the grab mode to move things around. And right now this is shaded smoothly, so for modeling purposes it can be better to shade it flat. To do this we select the faces, press W and shade flat. Now it doesn't look as smooth anymore, but we can see if, how it looks better. Now again create faces back here, and I'll simply try connecting all this back here and see how it looks. Now this is flat on the outside, which is unrealistic. Surface can't be completely flat in real life. It has some thickness to it always, so I'm going to add another vertex, again using subdivide to these two lines, selecting them both, pressing subdivide. And now I'd like to connect these two vertices, I'd like to merge them. So I select them, and then I can press space and merge, or simply remember Alt and M. Merge. I selected the one which where I want them to be merged last, so I select at last. And now I move this new vertex up a little bit. Now I press Tab to exit the edit mode and get a better view of what I just modeled. Oh, this does look okay. Except for this little piece here, I want these two faces to be connected differently. I don't want this edge here, but I want an edge between these two vertices. Now I could delete the faces and create them again, or I can simply flip them, which is called edge flip. Shortcut Shift Control F, but well, you don't have to remember all the shortcut from the beginning. You can simply use the menu as long as you know what it's called. Edge flip, and they are flipped. Again, I exit the edit mode using Tab, and I think I'll move the vertex up a little bit. Okay, well, let's not spend too much time there at the handle and do the rough work at the rest of the sort first. But actually, let's save here in case, well, anything bad happens and we need to come back to this. So save as, and I'll call it sort 2. It's always good to have a couple of backups. Now I entered the edit mode again, pressing Tab, and now if you want to create a face between these three vertices, you can also select them and press F, have the face there. Again, setting it to shade flat. Going back to the edge mode, because it's faster to simply select two edges than three vertices. Create a face here, one here, one here. And now I'm just connecting all the faces, the edges. Again, pressing F. And here I'm creating faces to another face, and one here. I'm not quite sure what this will look like, so I'm just creating it and taking a look. I think I want another vertex in here so it looks better. So again, I'm subdividing. Now actually, let's use something else. Let's use the cut tool. It works best when you're in top, side or bottom view, so I'm going to the top view or front view, and I hold K for knife and just draw a cut in there, and they are all cut there where I drew it. I want these two, or actually these two, to be merged again, so I press Alt M to merge them at last again. And now I can just move this around a little until I like it better. Again, pressing G to grab them and move them around. Actually, the whole sword is way too thick, So I'm going to the side view, entering edit mode. Now I can't see anything because the model, the mirrored model, is in front of it, so I change this back to wireframe, pressing Z. You can also select down there. And now I'm selecting vertices. I can press B. Or actually we want to scale the whole thing. So let's press B to get a nice box selection. And select what's supposed to be scaled. And now if we just pressed S to scale it, it would scale around the center, this point. And we actually want to scale it, first of all we want to constrain the scale along the Z-axis. So after pressing S for scale we can press Z, so it's only scaled along the Z-axis. But it may not be apparent in 3D in that view. But if you look at it from the side, it's apparent. But it doesn't scale at the right position. We want to scale it in a way that it only gets lowered and the lower part stays there. So for this, we can scale around the 3D cursor. This, well, cursor thing here is the 3D cursor. By clicking with the left mouse button you can move it around, and in our case we want it to be at the Z height 0, so somewhere here is the cursor position, 3D cursor location, here it is. We want to set the location to 0. Now it's directly at the 0 point. Now we can change the scaling to be around that cursor. Pivot center for rotation scaling. Currently it's around the median point of selected objects, and we want to change it. 3D cursor is supposed to be the center. So now if we scale it, it's around that point. So I press S for scale, I press Z to only scale along the Z-axis, and now I can scale it, make it thinner. Exit the edit mode, press Z again, and yeah, this is looking much sharper. Now this is not looking good. I will once again flip the edge here. Right edge flip, it was already selected. Actually, I don't think these new vertices really made it look better, so I'm just going to merge them back up there. Now the cursor is there. I want it back at the median point, so I'm changing this back to median point. Now I can again use it. This is looking pretty good. Now we just need to adjust this. Going to the side view again. And now I just need to connect these 2 points in a nice arc, and the others as well. So I think I'll just extrude this whole part here. Can select multiple, press E to extrude them, and now if I press right mouse button to abort it, it only aborts the move, not the extrusion, so there are 2 lines right here not really visible because they're in the same place. I press G to move it now. You can remove such double vertices by using remove doubles, but right now we want them. I'm changing the view to the right view and moving it here, rotating it, pressing R for rotate, scaling it down a little. Now I don't want it to be scaled along the x-axis, so when I scale it, I can press Shift X to only scale it along along Y and Z. That's just what I want, so I do that. Now I extrude it again, rotate it, and I think I move this around a little more. Okay. Now it does need to be moved a little along the x-axis. And now again I'm merging these points. I can't really see both, so I'm turning on wireframe using Z again, turning it back off, and now it does have to be moved a little in X direction here as well. So I'm moving this, selecting this vertex, moving it as well. Now I'm connecting these faces as edges again using F, moving this without moving it along the x-axis. And creating faces here. Now I just do the same here, but before I do that I'll save again. I'll just do this in the 3D view this time. Again, Shift X, so it's not moved along X. Also, when rotating you can press X, so it's only rotated around the X-axis. And this is already enough, I believe. And just connect this. I do another edge flip here. And yeah, that looks looking pretty good. I'll just move this vertex a little. Yeah. Okay. That's it for the modeling part. Next time we'll create a UV map and create textures.